So it's Lon Welsh at Your Castle Real Estate, and a very popular question I get asked at least 3 or 4 times every single day is, when is the market going to slow down? And I bet you're probably curious about that as well. So there's a fantastic article written by the lead economist at Redfin recently that's got a lot of good data which supports what I think I'm seeing at the very early stages, is that the market is starting to slow down a little bit. So he primarily focused on the more expensive coastal California markets to gather this data, but there's 4 trends right now that I think are the leading indicator pointing to the market is finally cooling off. So the first of those is that the number of Google searches by consumers for homes for sale is starting to decline quite a bit in these very expensive places like San Diego, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. The second big factor is the number of home tours are down. In California, we're also seeing that here in the Denver market. It's not a precipitous fall like it's coming off a cliff, but we had been seeing like this incredible ramp up in the number of showings per active listing this year versus last year, and that is now slowed down and it's just starting to soften just ever so slightly. And they're seeing the same behavior in these expensive markets in California. Usually, the leading indicators are number of people applying for a mortgage, number of people looking at homes that are under contract, and then finally we can predict the number of sales, but they definitely all go in a chain. So that leads us to our third factor we're seeing in California, and that is the number of people who are trying to apply for the mortgage for the first time. It's a lot less than it was this time last year or even over the last 3 years. Separate from that, this is gathered by the MBA, the Mortgage Bankers Association. The number of people applying to refinance has completely fallen off a cliff, but there's probably no particular surprise about that. And then finally, just the number of new customers contacting Redfin agents in the California market is down as well. So all these things point to, I think, the expensive parts of California are sort of the canary in the coal mine, showing there's less buyer demand as measured by these 4 different metrics. And I think we're going to see all those same things in Denver. So if you are a buyer and you're not in a huge rush, spring is historically the toughest time to be a buyer in our market, and this spring is no different. Historically, the best time to be a buyer in Denver is starting in late August, September, and October. The reason is there's usually a little bit more activity for inventory on the market for you to look at, and there's a lot less buyer activity competing for it, so it's a little bit easier. If you have the flexibility to buy in the fall, I would definitely look into that. On the converse, if you're a seller, this is the end of the party, so you should get there while you still can.